Welcome back, everybody. In this overdramatically lit episode, we will finally review the SmallHD 502 monitor. Right here! Now, as a present to all of you who have been waiting patiently for this review, I'm throwing in the brand spanking new SmallHD 702 monitor into the mix! Now, at $1,200 for the 502 and $1,500 for the 702, why spend such a big chunk of change on an external monitor in the first place? With most cameras, the size, resolution, and features of their built-in monitors just don't cut it for nailing focus, exposure, composition, and etc. These sleek and sexy SmallHD monitors are just chock full of the tools that you need to nail your shots at a full 1080p! So we'll be running around the streets in DTF today. That stands for Downtown Fullerton, by the way, you pervs out there. And we'll be trying out some of the features of the monitors. Now, because the SmallHD 702 uses the exact same firmware and interface as the 502, we'll be reviewing the 502 for the most part, but noting the differences between the models. These monitors are really sexily designed, with really thin bezels to keep the overall size small, and feature super hardcore metal frame construction so that they could take a beating. What's really handy is that they have built-in battery mounts that are compatible with both Canon LPE6 and Sony NP batteries. Other than being a 7-inch monitor instead of 5-inch, everything about the 702 is pretty much the same as the 502, except that it has an outer edge that is metal, not rubberized like the 502. Rubberized. Both monitors have quarter 20 holes on the bottom and back, but you'll notice that the 702 has holes on both sides, while the 502 has a hole only on one side. This sounds very wrong. Unlike the 502, the 702 also has heat sinks on the back, presumably because it's overheating from its own sexiness. For both, the only controls are the little control nipple, joystick, and the back button, which is perfect for the intuitive interface they have designed. Let's look over the interface. So these monitors have an ingenious page-based interface that allows you to create pages with different tool combinations that you can quickly flip through instead of manually switching each tool on each time. For example, you could create a page that's all about getting things in focus, and yet another for applying LUTs. You start by creating a new blank page and start adding tools to the list on the left, using the nipple joystick. What tools are there? I'm glad you asked.
There are fully customizable aspect ratio markers that you can set as a line or mask that you can color to look like orange sherbet. Bonuses that you can create your own crazy aspect. Safety markers so that you can compose like a wuss. Crosshairs so that you can
stay on target.
Grid lines that you can color and set to show thirds or the world of Tron. Exposure assist to give you predator vision with a handy IRE guide. You can even change the intensity of predator vision. Zebras with customizable range and color. A boring old histogram. The all-powerful waveform that you can tweak the location, scale, and opacity of, plus change it into a fun parade or color mode. A vector scope that's coming really soon, with a double M. Focus assist that adds color peaking with customizable colors and the option for a black and white image. Useful. Peaking, which is confusing because it's really just sharpening. Look! Hark! Look! Where you can load up your lutty lut-luts when shooting in log. I love this one. Image overlay, where you can take a still and load it to help you match composition and feel drunk without drinking booze. Kinda cool looking audio meters. The new image scaling feature, where you can shrink the image to create a clean space to add tools all around it, you tool hoarder.
And in the settings, we have
input, output page, headphones, backlight brightness, image rotation, anamorphic DSLR scaling for those who have crappy cameras, image capture settings, airplane mode, further convincing me that this is really an iPhone, remote settings, EVF settings, daytime settings, awesome profile functions, more on this later, calibration, firmware, dangerous factory reset, tutorial for if you feel lost in life.
Phew, that was a lot to cover. This crapload of tools means the combinations of custom pages are endless. Now, there are a couple of combination gotchas. For example, you can't have two different kinds of waveforms side by side, like a Luma waveform next to an RGB parade. Also, I'm just waiting for the firmware update that will bring the all-powerful vector scope, which is supposedly coming soon. Coming soon? Like communisming? Now here's an interesting feature, shared tools, where you create tools that are applied to all pages. So if you want a LUT on every page, just click down when you go to the tool plus sign to make it apply to all pages. Now, a word of caution, toggling the tool on and off on one page will affect its status on all pages. Now, there's supposedly a limit of 8 tools for each page, but there's this interesting little hack. Add those 8 tools that you want, you tool whore you, then add a crapload of shared tools in addition to that. The sky's the limit! I don't know why anybody would want this many tools on the screen all at once, but it's good to know that it's there, I guess. A minor annoyance is that at the time of the 2.0 firmware, we can't rearrange custom pages. So the order that we created them is the order that we have to sift through them. We're guessing that this should be an easy fix in a firmware update though. Here's something really cool. These monitors allow the transfer of all the settings and pages you created from one 500 or 700 series monitor to another. We just saved the profile we created on the 502 onto an SD card and put the SD card into the 702 and load the profile, and boom, every setting is replaced with those from the 502. Now some tweaking is needed for our rigging, but we just saved a lot of setup work. Okay, enough of the interface. Let's take some of our favorite tools and use them. The favorites that we put on our pages is Focus Assist with black and white background enabled, Exposure Assist with the fun Predator colors, and good old-fashioned waveform. We filmed Emily aimlessly walking around DTF all by herself, lonely. She doesn't wanna be all by herself anymore. I thought I was having a horrendous off day with focus pulling, but then realized that our old FD lens aperture was locked to a wide open 1.4, which then I realized that the focus assist actually made it much less of a debacle than it could have been if I relied on the A7S's built-in monitor alone. We then flipped the A7S to shoot in S-Log2 and applied one of our favorite LUTs from Film Convert to a page. Along with utilizing the false colors page, this let us get the right exposure when shooting super flat. One thing of note is that while shooting with a LUT, your scopes all show the original footage's levels, so you get to gauge exactly how much detail you're capturing in the highlights and shadows. When shooting out in the sun, glare is naturally an issue. What the f am I looking at? It's so bright. You know what would really help? A sun hood. Look at what's in my back pocket here. SmallHD branded sun hood for the 502. Let's put it on. I hope I look like I know what I'm doing. Look like a pro doing it. Okay, it's on now. The sun hood is super light and extremely effective when your face is buried deep into it. It's so good that it's somewhat magical. Now let's take a look at the 502 versus the 702 in operation outdoors. The 702 screen is listed as bright and daylight viewable, and it definitely shows, being brighter in the outdoors than the 502. Bright. Additionally, the 702 has a much wider viewable angle range, with the 502 becoming unviewable at 45 degrees, while the 702 is still perfectly visible at that same angle. This makes the 702 great for sets where several crew members need to peek at the monitor from different positions, while the 502 is best for a single operator, so I look at its limited viewing angle as a privacy screen, perfect for reviewing footage of your latest porn masterpiece. Now these monitors are said to have Gorilla Glass protecting them, but when I tap them, I see that I'm mushing the liquid crystal display around a bit, which makes me a bit paranoid. Thankfully, SmallHD makes these hardcore acrylic shields for them. Now these are supposedly super hardcore shields that could take a real beating. In our next video, we plan to put these to the test with a bunch of bullets flying or something. Now the main worry of acrylic shields is that they would add extra glare to the image. What's the verdict of these two acrylic films? 1, 2.
There is a difference.
As I expected. Now I bet a lot of you are asking the question of whether the 502 or 702 is better. The simple answer is that they're just plain different, but at the same time, awesome in their own ways. The 702 is more geared towards directors of photography and assistant cameramen, while the 502 is great for small-scale run-and-gun shooters, as well as those looking for a monitor for their gimbal. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be having follow-up tests regarding durability and battery life of these monitors, so subscribe to get them as soon as they come out. So click the damn button. Click the damn button. Click it. Click. I have nowhere to go. Dramatic exit. This direction. Am I still in? Dramatic exit. This direction. Am I still in? Am I out? Have they clicked yet? Have they clicked the subscribe button? Okay, I'll hide a little bit longer. Click it. Click the subscribe button. Please? This floor is dirty. Why are we still rolling?